everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for one of our weekly nutrition chats. We have our experts here in the house with us tonight. From Nutrena, I will go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and then we will get started.
Hi everyone, I'm Annie Hood. I am the Nutrena rep for the Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, and Idaho territory. I've been with Cargill almost 4 years now already, but I get to cover the East Wenatchee and the Yakima coastal stores. And happy to be with you guys tonight.
And then I am Brian Dodd. So I am the Nutrena rep for Western Washington, Western Oregon, and Northern California. I've been with Cargill a little over a year, and I cover every coastal that is not Yakima and Eastern Wenatchee. And I'm super excited to be here today.
Fantastic. And I am Meg with Coastal, and I get the pleasure of hosting Annie and Brian for these chats that we do. And I'm really excited for tonight because I am a horse girl. And tonight we are talking all about the senior horse. So Brian, why don't you go ahead and get started and tell us a little bit about what exactly classifies a horse as a senior horse?
Yeah, so generally, a senior horse is any horse that's older than 15 years old. And that's around when you would look at transitioning to a senior feed. There are other things that you would be careful and look for. So even if they're younger, but they have really, really terrible teeth, they might need to go on to a senior feed. If you have like some digestive problems or an inability to get through much fiber, that would be another reason to look at a senior feed. Or if a vet has ever recommended a sole ration for some reason, that would be a reason to look at a senior feed.
All right, fantastic. So those are a little bit of the details of how to classify your horse as being a senior. And Annie's going to go ahead and talk with us all about the nutrition aspect of caring for that senior horse. So Annie, take it away.
Absolutely. So like Brian said, senior horses, the technical term, right? Any horse over the age of 15 should be kind of looked at towards a senior horse. Meg, you're a horse girl like myself. And Brian, I know you've had horses in the past. We know some horses that are 18, 19, 20, and they look fantastic, right? They do really well. Or we've even seen some younger horses that, like Brian said, maybe have really poor teeth quality, or maybe they just need that sole ration because they have some other issues going on. So it's sometimes kind of hard to put a number on what a senior horse is. So like those things like Brian said, like maybe your vet has recommended a sole ration. And what a sole ration means is that they're going to live on this grain, right? So this is going to be the only food source they're going to get. They're not going to get hay. Maybe they can have it, but they're not going to be able to chew it up and digest it. They're more so just going to kind of be busy with it, but they're really not getting any nutrients from it because maybe it's a digestive issue, or maybe they can't chew it because of, like we talked about, their teeth or tooth quality. So senior feed is made for that reason as a complete diet, correct? So it can be fed as a sole ration if needed. But the real big difference about senior feed versus other feed that makes it a complete diet is the high fiber content. How horses really need, their hind gut fermentator. So what that means is they need the roughage, they need the grazing, the grass, the hay to really survive. So that's all fiber. So these senior feeds that I will go over is like, there's a super high fiber content and also has all the nutrients in a pellet that'll allow them to survive on a sole ration. Or maybe you do have a senior guy, he's older in his teens and he just needs a little bit of help because at the age of 15, horses lose their ability to digest fiber around 15%. We kind of call it the 15-15 rule. So with that, adding fiber via grain, right? So it's easier to chew. It's not a breakdown of a stem or any sort of fiber source that way, and makes it way easier to break down, digest, and absorb those nutrients. So 3 senior feeds that Coastal carries that we, either Nutrena branded or we manufacture for you. The first one being Country Companion Senior. So we do manufacture the Country Companion line for Coastal. This is a great senior feed. It's kind of our economy feed. So it has the fiber content, the protein, and the fat that a senior guy is going to need, right? It's going to be a sole ration, all of those things. And it's a great, great price point and a great spot for anyone to choose. But maybe you are interested in having a little bit more of like pre and probiotics, because maybe your guys got a little bit of, harder on their stomach, but we know pre and probiotics definitely don't hurt, right, to add to the digestive tract. So Safe Choice Senior is an option as well. And Safe Choice, we put in our NutriBloom Advantage. That is the added fiber, right? And it's our way we process to where the kind of makes up for that 15% that they lose, right? At the age 15, we kind of add it back in with this grain. It also has our top line advantage in there as well. And so that is kind of our focus with our amino acids that we add in. It's going to focus on our top line. We know as horses age, they're, they kind of get sway back, some people will say, right? So helping adding those amino acids will help kind of focus on keeping that core strong. And also too, the third option we have for our senior feed is our ProForce Senior. So what this is going to be for like your senior that are highly active, they're athletes still, they're maybe still competing in their high teens, in their early 20s. This is going to be a higher fat, and it's going to be your highest fat senior of the 3 options. And it also has beet pulp in it. So sometimes that's a great fiber source. I have a lot of customers and people I know that are maybe traveling a lot too with their senior horses. Having maybe an option like this with the beet pulp in it is giving that senior horse a consistent fiber in their diet. So maybe you do haul from here in the Northwest to down to Texas for something, or show or rodeo, and maybe you run out of hay, or maybe you feed pellets or cubes or anything like that. But the source of hay or source of sometimes might have to change. Having something like this in their diet when they're an athlete and they're traveling kind of gives them a little bit of consistency. And we know horses, right? They're picky things, and keeping them consistent is key. So the ProForce Senior, like I said, is mainly going to be a higher fat than the Safe Choice. And the Safe Choice is a little bit higher fat than the Country Companion. All of these feeds are great, fantastic feeds, and they have their place depending on where your horse is at in his activity level, maybe his weight, right? So if his weight is pretty good, but he needs a little bit of help because he's a little bit hard to chew, you probably don't need the ProForce Senior because it is super high in fat. And you can go with Country Companion or Safe Choice Senior. If you would like to have the, NutriBloom Advantage and the pre and probiotics, then Safe Choice Senior is a fantastic option as well. We just know we need to keep those senior guys going. I have one myself, and he loves his ProForce Senior. And I even feed ProForce Senior to a couple of my other younger ones, just because it's a complete feed, and they love it. So it's not a bad option, but making sure they're getting the nutrition they need, because we need to make sure that we're keeping, as they're aging, we're not losing the ability to digest that nutrients and absorb it. So having a senior feed is a great option.
Absolutely. I really love that you guys have that offering, kind of those different levels. So maybe as somebody starts to transition in to that senior age group, they can kind of work their way up depending on what exactly their horse needs. So I think that's awesome. Just fantastic. Annie, would you ever recommend, is there ever a time where maybe somebody would feed that higher fat equine senior blend, during a rodeo or a show season, but then maybe switch down to a different formula in the off season? Or is it best to just kind of keep them on the same one and kind of adjust the portion sizes a little bit?
Great question. So honestly, with a senior feed like this, you wouldn't need to have to switch. If you're feeding a high sugar content feed, maybe like, maybe our Safe Choice Perform texture, which I wouldn't, it's a terrible example, maybe super high, but it's higher in sugar compared to a senior feed, right? So it's a texture feed, it's got oats, it's got things that your horse is gonna need if they're high performing. If maybe you're on the performance road and then you're not anymore, you probably don't need to be feeding that high performance feed anymore, right? Whereas a senior feed, it's high in fat, right? So it's going to be low in starch and sugar. So if you're, obviously horses tell us too, right? They're fat, they're skinny, they're really easy to look at to see where they need to be. I honestly think if it was my personal horse and me being in the winter now here, I just decrease the amount. Personally, they do very well on it. And it's not a super high sugar content feed. So it's not like they're sitting in their pen with a ball of energy that needs to be expelled, right? They're just not needing as much fat because they're not doing as much work currently, but they're not just a ball of fire ready to go do something.
Awesome. Fantastic. Just one other question, kind of going along with that, I guess. Would it be wrong for somebody, say they had a bit of a younger horse and then also that senior horse, but they wanted to feed one bag of feed? Would it be okay for them to pick one of these senior feeds and also feed their younger horse on it, as long as they were able to kind of stay within a healthy body score?
Absolutely. Brian, go for it.
Yeah. So as long as they're past that like mare and foal area where they we really formulated feed specifically for them, then you would be just fine feeding them a senior feed. As long as you've gotten past that 2-year mark, you're good to go. If that makes it easier and makes your barn look less like a mad chemist set, perfect. Perfect.
That is the best way to describe what I know some of our feed rooms can turn into. There's so many great products that we have to really just enhance and enrich our horses' lives and their performance. They're awesome, but I know sometimes we also need to simplify a little bit. So fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, you guys. We really appreciate every time we do these videos. I always learn something, even if it's something about horses that I've owned for years. So always great to hang out and chat with you. And I can't wait for next week. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
All right.
Thank you.